My name is Carina Gardner, and I'm what you would call a practical designer. If you're ready to create a life that you love, become an incredible force for good, and generate income while pursuing your dreams, this is the podcast for you. Welcome to Make and Design. Hi, designers. I recently read an article by Harvard Business Review talking about the development of small businesses. And I thought this was interesting because it was a little different than most frameworks you see out there for businesses. Now, for you as a designer, many of you are trying to grow a business. So I thought this would be a fun thing for us to talk about. It would help debunk some myths for you. And we could kind of chat about this and kind of get your head in a place so that you understand really what you're up against as you're building a design business. For me, I love having steps. I love when someone tells me, first you do this, then you do this, then you do the next thing. That's why we started Design Suite. And so for you, as you're listening here, I think actually just hearing these different stages or phases, if you want to call them, will help you understand a little bit better about kind of what you're experiencing as you're trying to build a design business. So these are not quite as typical. Like the ones I usually see are like, first you're in growth stage and then you're in, all of these things. Instead, this is actually a little more broken down. It's more like as you're trying to grow. Does that make sense? And I'm hoping that by talking about this, I can talk to you about kind of the amazing things that happen in a design journey, because it's such a dreamy experience to actually start a design business. So I want you to be aware of that. But then also there are all these little hurdles along the way that are different from, I talk about the 3 big hurdles that you have to go through in my book, Design, Profit, and Prosper. And so I think that by kind of talking you through this and also telling you that this is not my model, this is just something I saw that I thought was interesting, that it would help you as well as you're kind of figuring things out. Okay, so let's get started here. So there are 4 stages that they like to talk about. And the first one is existence. And I thought this was such an interesting one to start with because we don't talk about the simple mere existence of the business even starting. So for you, that is you're starting to put together your products and you are sending those possibly to manufacturers, or you're uploading them to an online platform, or you're getting freelance work, right? It's kind of like it sometimes accidentally happens. I know this happens especially to freelancers where someone asks them, hey, can you make a logo for me? And you're like, oh, yeah, I guess. Suddenly you have a business that's in existence, right? And you didn't mean for that to happen. We have a Design Suite member who previously always was people were asking for stickers, or for the high school would come in and ask her to design something for them. That is it suddenly is existence. And a lot of people never get past this first existence piece, right? Because very often it sneaks up on them and they're suddenly designing and making a little bit of money from it. For those of you who are very aware and you're this is the thing I want to do, existence is by you simply doing the research and starting to design, making sure you know the software, and then going out of your way to actually start working for platforms or pitching to manufacturers. So that it's all these activities that are happening that creates the existence of this design business to get started. The second one is called survival. Now, this is why I think this is so interesting, because those that kind of accidentally fall into it, maybe they do a little freelance work or the school asks them to do something, very often survival just kind of falls off, right? They exist for a second and then it just goes away because there was no thought in moving it forward. Now, if you started making a little money off of it and you were like, you know what, I think I'm going to expand my freelance business, then suddenly you're thinking about, how do I do that? How do I survive and how do I make money doing this so that the business can actually happen? If you are starting an online business, for you, survival is creating the products, creating the volume of products, getting stuff up, writing SEO, all those activities to see if you can exist and if you can continue to make sales. Very often you'll get a couple of sales when you start that existence stage, and then you get into survival and it's oh man, it really does feel like a survival mechanism, right? Especially those of you who especially in our program, we see sales, a lot of people will get 5 to 10 sales in the first 12 months. you're technically in survival, right? Because now you're like, how long do I have to see this through in order to make some money doing it? And it takes time. So number 3 is success. And every chart I've looked at, most businesses in general, what we're talking about is usually a 5-year timeline. Now in Design Suite, it's closer to 18 months to 3 years. 18 months seems to be kind of like the time period we can get people to where they need to be. But it's different for every person. And part of it is medium, part of it is design style, part of it is just sheer number of volume of product and making sure that you're getting that product looked at and it's getting better. So there are a lot of factors. So generally speaking, if you know that business takes about 5 years to do, and I know in our program, we shoot for 18 months to 3 years. So we're basically trying to shave off at least 2 years of what a typical business takes to find success, and up to really we're talking about 3.5 years, right? To try to get people there. So for you, as you are looking for that success, and you're going to know what that number is for you, maybe it's only $1,000 a month, maybe it's $5,000 a month, maybe it's replacing your current income, you're going to know what that success piece looks like. At the beginning, it really is a side hustle because you're doing a lot of work for it, knowing that you're going to get a return after the fact. And you do have to wait for that return, which is the hardest part about me teaching this. I wish everybody could get a return in the first 3 months, but unfortunately, it's just business. Business takes 5 years, 6 years to really get going. All right, so success. And the last one that they put for number 4 is takeoff. So once you see that success, kind of finding new ways to make income and figure those out. Those are the things we do actually in our elite program. Sometimes we have Design Suite members who are in Mastermind. They'll take a break for a year and then come into elite. We have some that are doing really well and they just head straight into elite, and we can figure out what to do with them and get them to take off even further. And we kind of focus on the business stuff. But I just think this is a little bit different than what I've seen in the past. Normally what you see is, and I'll just tell you this, usually it's like growth or startup. Then you see like maturity. Then they see like expansion, right? So they're like these types of stages that you usually see. So I really liked this one by the Harvard Business Review. I thought it was really good and just a little bit different. If you ever want to look it up and read more about it, you can check it out at Harvard Business Review and put in the 5 stages of small business growth. They talk a little bit more in depth. They have like sub stages and they go really in depth for it, but it's for all businesses. For you, because you're a design business owner, I think simply going over it, knowing where you're at and knowing how long it will take will just normalize what you're working on, right? Because if you're normalizing what you're working on, then you tend to not fall off at year 2 or 3, right? Because you're like, you know what? This is part of the growth of my business. As long as you're making the right steps. I'm gonna put that little caveat in there because so many people think they're doing the right things, but a lot of times they aren't. Just like as a background for you guys to understand what I mean, I was just looking at our numbers. Design Suite, the program, has been around for 32 months. We are not quite 3 years old yet, okay? And it's so fascinating because I have been watching this and kind of where we're at in the stages of growth. And I have built now 5 businesses, several businesses, and some with business partners. And in order to create Design Suite, I went out of my way to get an awful lot of education to make it happen. And that's why I suggest for you to go out of your way to get education. I couldn't have built it as quickly as I did if I hadn't gotten that education. And I wish, like anything, that when I had started Mini-Lou or I had started my design business, that there had been a program out there that like mine that had existed to teach me what I would have done, because I would have done things a lot differently, and I probably would be much further along than I am now, especially in my design business. I would have pushed it even harder. So, and it's so funny because now we're working on some things for 2024, and I'm like, oh my gosh, like the amount of stuff we can do is insane, which is really exciting. So, so many good things here. hopefully you are thinking about the new year, and this little talking about the stages will help you as well as you're kind of figuring things out for yourself. But you've got this. I'm excited for 2024. I hope you are too. And just know that moving forward is the only way that you are going to see success. Did you know you have access to more free design content, die cut files, and sewing patterns? Join our exclusive VIP group for free by going to designsweetcourses.com/free.